Chosen one, focus completely on this message in this very moment. That subtle feeling you've been holding on to, the one whispering that something is about to change. Stop brushing it aside, because what is approaching will not introduce itself. There will be no alert, no ticking clock, no dramatic sign in the heavens. It will just appear. And when it does, everything shifts instantly. The enemy is putting in extra effort right now for one simple reason. He is aware of what is about to enter your life, and he cannot prevent it. So instead, he is attempting to hold you back. He is trying to keep you distracted, drained, and full of doubt just long enough to cause you to miss the moment when it shows up. But you are not going to miss it. Not this time. Everything concludes this week. The waiting, the questioning, the silence that lasted so long it began to feel permanent. But understand this clearly. It is not ending because of timing or chance. It is ending because of what you have already done. Because of the prayers you whispered when nobody saw you. Because of the ground you stood on when everything inside you wanted to give up. Think about that moment this week when you nearly said something you would have regretted. When something unexpected came at you and every part of you wanted to react, to defend yourself, to explain. But something stopped you. You remained silent. You walked away. You released it. You believed that was weakness. You thought your silence cost you something. But I am here to tell you that your silence was power. That moment of restraint was not a loss. That was you completing the final step. That was the action that confirmed the removal of the enemy from your situation. You did not destroy anything. You brought everything to completion. You did not come across this message by coincidence. The algorithm did not guide you here. God did. This is a divine appointment that was set before the foundation of the world, and you are here at the exact right moment for the exact right purpose. Do not scroll past this. Do not let it play while your attention is somewhere else. Your future self needs you to stay present, because if you disconnect now, you will leave before the decision over your life is revealed. In the next few minutes, I am going to share the authority that cancels every plan the enemy has formed against what is coming to you. I am going to reveal the exact point this week when you unknowingly activated your breakthrough without realizing it. And at the end, I will give you the declaration that closes this door permanently so that nothing the enemy attempts can undo what God has already started. Stay until the very end. I understand what the last 72 hours have felt like. The atmosphere around you has not just been quiet. It has been heavy, like a pressure resting on your chest that you cannot explain or shake. Like the stillness before something significant arrives. Maybe this week you have been going through your days feeling slightly out of sync, like everyone else is moving normally while you are pushing through something dense and unseen. Or maybe you woke up in the middle of the night, lying in the dark with your heart beating faster than usual, feeling something you could not define but could not ignore. It feels like you are suspended, standing between the life you once had and the life that was promised. And from where you are, you cannot see either side clearly. And in that space, the enemy has been planting a very specific lie. He has been telling you that what is coming has been delayed because of you. He has been replaying a moment in your mind repeatedly, that moment when you stepped back, when you became quiet, when you stopped pushing and allowed something to go. And he has been labeling that moment as your biggest mistake. He has been convincing you that your silence, your stillness, your decision not to fight back cost you the very thing you have been hoping for. But listen carefully to what Scripture actually says about this. Nahum 1 verse 9 declares, "What do you plot against the Lord? He will bring it to a complete end. Trouble will not rise a second time." Hear that again. Trouble will not come back a second time. The enemy wants you to believe you are stuck in a loop. He wants you to think the clock has been reset and you are starting all over again. He wants that lie to grow so loud in your mind that you stop expecting what is ahead. But you are not in a cycle. You are at a conclusion. The heaviness you feel is not punishment pressing down on you. It is completion. It is a weight of something ending so fully that it can never return. It is a final tension before a cord snaps completely. What you thought was failure was not failure at all. It was a finishing move. It was a strategy that heaven had been aligning the entire time. You did not disqualify yourself. You did not delay the blessing. You did not reset what God already set in motion. You completed it. And what is coming will arrive suddenly, without warning, without announcement, without time to prepare. But you do not need preparation. You are already prepared. You have already done the work. The only thing left now is to receive. And now that you understand you are ready, now that the truth has settled in that you have already completed the final step, this is what shifts next. Because readiness is not passive. Readiness is not sitting still with folded hands, waiting for something to be dropped into your life. Being ready is not passive. It is an intentional spiritual stance. It means choosing to stop replaying the delay and instead begin functioning from the truth of what has already been declared. It is a confident posture of someone who understands that the victory has already been secured in the unseen realm and is now simply waiting for it to appear in the physical world. This kind of active readiness is like a tightly wound spring releasing, a vessel launching into open waters, or a seed breaking through the earth with an undeniable inner assurance of why it exists. It is a holy whisper within your spirit declaring, it is complete. Even while your eyes are still witnessing the process unfold, you are no longer just wishing. You are certain. You are no longer seeking approval. You are moving from authority. This shift in position opens a pathway for divine movement, generating a spiritual flow that draws what is ahead into the present moment. It is a living alignment, not a motionless expectation. Consider what took place with Elijah on Mount Carmel. The ground was dry, broken, and desperate for water, a reflection of years without rain, the result of spiritual disobedience. The sky remained a harsh, endless blue, offering no sign of change and mocking any expectation of rainfall. There were no weather patterns shifting, no pressure changes, no breeze hinting at moisture. Yet before the rain appeared, before even a single cloud formed, before there was any visible proof that change was coming, Elijah told Ahab to rise and eat because he could hear the sound of heavy rain approaching. He perceived it before it existed in the physical realm. He heard it within the spirit. Think about the boldness of that moment, the unshakable certainty in his voice as he spoke in the middle of a lifeless landscape to a king who had grown used to deception and empty words. Elijah stood alone as a channel of divine insight, tuning his spiritual hearing to something far beyond human understanding. That ability to hear, that courage to speak what had not yet appeared, was not pride. It was alignment. It was a deep connection to the heart and intention of God. He was not inventing something out of nothing or forcing reality into existence. He was simply agreeing aloud with what heaven had already decided, echoing a decree that had already been established in the spiritual realm. He became a witness, affirming a truth that was already in motion. Then he went to pray, 7 times. Each prayer anchored deeper, each one reinforcing faith, a steady and persistent knocking at heaven's door. It was not desperation, but a confident rhythm, a steady call. On the 7th time, a cloud the size of a man's hand appeared on the horizon, a small detail at the edge of sight. But that small sign was enough. It stood as a marker in the empty sky, a prophetic glimpse, a visible sign of an invisible certainty, because Elijah understood what it represented. He did not just see a cloud. He saw the end of drought, the outpouring that would satisfy a nation, the confirmation of God's power. His spiritual vision transformed something small into something significant. Right now, you are standing in your small cloud moment. This slight spark of hope, this early sign, this first visible movement in the stillness of your waiting. What you see right now may appear minor. It may seem unimportant, barely worth noticing. It may not resemble the fullness of what was promised, perhaps just a faint outline, a shadow of what is coming. But the real question is not whether you can yet see the entire sky filled with breakthrough. The question is whether you recognize the meaning of that small movement, whether your spiritual awareness is sharp enough to identify the seed of your destiny, because the enemy, with subtle deception, will use the smallness of the beginning to make you doubt the greatness of the outcome. He will point to that fragile sign and say, that is all there is, something temporary that will fade away. He will try to convince you not to hope too much, to lower your expectations, to guard yourself from disappointment. He will disguise discouragement as wisdom and tell you to be practical, to come back to reality, to accept less than what your heart truly longs for. He will challenge what your spirit knows by appealing to what your senses can see. He wants you to treat the first drop as meaningless instead of recognizing it as a beginning of a flood. But you were never meant to live by what seems realistic. You were called to remain faithful to what you heard. Realism belongs to a broken world. Faithfulness belongs to the kingdom. Your calling goes beyond natural logic. Your purpose is rooted in a deeper truth, a higher reality, the unshakable word that was placed within your spirit. What you heard was not imagination, not a passing idea. not a random thought. It came from the same voice that brought light into darkness, speaking existence into emptiness. The same voice that called things into being that did not yet exist, forming stars and galaxies with a single command. The same voice that has been speaking over your life since before you were even named, designing your destiny across time and eternity. This is a voice of your Creator, the designer of your purpose. And His word does not return empty. It carries within it the power to fulfill itself. Now, here is where it becomes even deeper. There is something unfolding beneath the surface of your situation that you must understand before everything fully opens, before the blessings are completely released. The enemy knows that if he cannot stop what is coming, if he cannot cancel what God has already declared over your life, then his next strategy is to distort the way you receive it. He does not need to stop it. He only needs to contaminate it. He only needs to ensure that when it arrives, you receive it through the wrong perspective, a distorted lens that weakens its impact and steals its joy, a lens of fear that causes you to constantly expect it to disappear or fall apart, through a lens of inadequacy, causing you to feel undeserving of what has been given, stopping you from truly embracing it as yours, through a mindset that whispers, "This is too perfect. It will not last. Something will eventually fall apart," keeping you trapped in ongoing tension and doubt. These mindsets are not small issues. They are spiritual poisons created to weaken the very blessings heaven intends for you. Because when something good is received through fear, it turns into pressure, a burden that weighs you down instead of lifting you up. What was meant to bring freedom becomes another form of bondage, a gift you are afraid of losing. A doorway entered in fear transforms into confinement. The open space ahead becomes restricted because your hesitation stops you from fully stepping into it. You may walk through the door, but internally you remain tied to the limitations of your past season. And when favor is entered without a strong sense of identity, without truly understanding who you are in Christ, it will eventually be undermined by the very person it was given to, you. Without clarity about your divine purpose, you may mishandle, misuse, or even damage the very things meant to elevate you. This is exactly what happened with Saul. He was selected, brought out from obscurity, and anointed by the prophet Samuel with oil that represented divine assignment. He was placed as the first king of Israel, entrusted with authority and given a remarkable opportunity to lead God's people. But he never fully embraced who he was called to become. His foundation remained unstable, built on insecurity instead of divine confidence. He constantly compared himself to others, especially David, allowing outside opinions to control his inner stability. He sought approval from people, performing for their validation instead of standing firmly in his calling, grounded in the identity God had given him. He wore the crown for recognition, not for purpose. And when David appeared, a young shepherd whose favor began to increase, the moment it seemed like the attention he once had was shifting, fear took control of him. That deep insecurity began guiding every choice he made. It damaged his relationships, distorted his thinking, and corrupted his heart. A leader driven by fear becomes destructive, reacting to imagined threats, manipulating situations, and eventually trying to eliminate the very person meant to carry forward God's plan. Not because God removed his calling, but because Saul never established his identity within himself. He never truly believed he was worthy of what he had been given, and because of that, he became controlled by the opinions of others, losing sight of what God had spoken over his life. His fear ended up creating the very downfall he was trying to avoid. So before this new opportunity becomes everything it is meant to be, before you fully step into the vast promise ahead, heaven is asking something of you that may feel uncomfortable, something that goes against habits and the way you have learned to protect yourself. Heaven is asking you to stop shrinking, to stop making yourself smaller, quieter, less visible, less expressive, just to fit into spaces that were never designed for you. To stop apologizing in advance for what is about to come upon your life, the favor, the opportunities, the blessings, the calling that will clearly set you apart. To stop adjusting yourself to maintain other people's comfort with a powerful, authentic version of you that is rising. You have spent too much time dimming your light, hiding your gifts, holding back your voice so others would not feel overshadowed or uncomfortable. You have been walking carefully, limiting yourself out of fear of what your own growth might bring. And now, that season is over. The time of holding back has ended. It is time to stand fully, to take your place in what you were created for. You were not anointed to blend in. You were anointed to shift environments. You are not here to match what already exists. You are here to bring transformation, to carry the presence of Christ, to be a light in darkness. Your presence is meant to change atmospheres, to challenge what is normal, to introduce something divine. Accept the powerful disruption that comes with who you are called to be. And what comes next is something many people are not ready for. Listen closely. What is coming is not only a blessing, it is also a revealing. What God is bringing into your life, whether it is resources, influence, connections, or new opportunities, will also uncover what is within you. It will illuminate your intentions, your hidden thoughts, your unhealed areas, and the true condition of your heart. This is not something to fear. It is a gift, because you cannot carry what is coming, the weight, the responsibility, the expansion, while holding on to limiting beliefs, unresolved fears, and unchecked motives. Your capacity must grow before the blessing arrives. Otherwise, when it comes, there will be no room to hold it. Like water poured into a closed container, it will overflow and be wasted. This revealing is God's way of preparing you, not just to receive, but to sustain. It is an invitation to look within, a refining process that creates space for something greater. Think about the widow with the oil in the book of 2 Kings. She was in a desperate situation, on the edge of losing everything, even her children. The prophet Elisha did not bring something from outside or create a miracle out of nothing. Instead, he asked her what she already had. He directed her attention inward, challenging how she saw her own situation. And she believed she had almost nothing, just a small jar of oil, something that seemed insignificant, barely enough to last. But he instructed her to collect containers, empty ones, as many as she was able to find. This was a key direction, the stretching of her expectation, the act of making room, not just a handful, but as many as possible, pushing her beyond what she thought was enough. Then he told her to begin pouring. This was a step of obedience, the movement of faith into what she could not yet see. The oil did not increase while she was simply thinking about it. It did not grow while she was gathering containers, even though that step was necessary. It did not expand while she was planning or figuring things out. It multiplied as she poured, in the action itself, in the movement of faith. And it continued to increase, flowing supernaturally until there were no more containers left to fill, until her ability to receive reached its limit. Those containers in the story represent more than physical objects. They symbolize your capacity. They reflect your expectations, the space you create spiritually for God to fill. They represent how much you are willing to believe for, the scope of your vision when it comes to divine provision. And what heaven is communicating to you right now is this: it is time to gather more containers. It is time to increase your expectation, to break through the hardened ground of limiting beliefs and allow the seeds of greater faith to grow. Because the oil will not run out. God's provision has no end. His generosity has no boundaries. His source never runs dry. The only thing that can limit the flow, the only restriction on the miracle, is a lack of containers. It is a limit you place on what you are ready to receive. Your limitation is not God's willingness. Your limitation is the size of what you are asking Him to fill. He is not restricted by your situation. The only boundary is your belief and the space you create to receive. And as this begins to shift within you, and it is shifting even now as you hear this, a quiet adjustment in your spirit, a breaking of old patterns, there is something else that must take place. This is where the true turning point happens. Because many people come extremely close to breakthrough and then step back right at the edge of their greatest reward. They get close enough to sense the promise, to almost experience the victory, to feel the nearness of change, and then they hold themselves back at the very entrance. They create reasons to pause, to delay, to step away from what they have been longing for. They say things like, "I'm almost ready," or "I just need a bit more time," or "maybe later." These statements sound wise. They appear careful and thoughtful, but in reality, they are fear expressed in more refined language. They are polished excuses hiding a deeper hesitation to fully step into what God has prepared. They are delay disguised as preparation, a cycle of waiting that keeps you from moving forward. This is one of the enemy's most subtle strategies, to keep you standing at the threshold without ever crossing it. Now listen carefully, because this is important. There is a hidden agreement you have been living under, something that sounds like faith but has actually been acting as a limit. It has functioned like an invisible ceiling, keeping certain blessings just out of reach. And once you recognize it, once you bring it into the light, you will understand why things have been near but never fully arriving, why breakthroughs felt close but never completely manifested. But before that, this truth must settle deeply within you. You have been treating your preparation as if it is never finished, as if there's always one more step, one more lesson, one more adjustment needed. You have been living in a constant state of almost ready, standing at the edge but never fully stepping in. And now you must face this question honestly. At what point does preparation become an excuse to avoid moving forward? At what point does a season meant to shape you become a place where you hide from your calling? Moses spent 40 years in the wilderness being prepared, living a simple life, letting go of his past identity. But there came a moment when the burning bush appeared, filled with divine fire. And God said, "Now." Not later, not after more time, not after he felt more confident or completely free of doubt. Now. And even then, Moses argued. He questioned. He tried to reason his way out of it. He said, "Who am I to do this?" He pointed to his weaknesses, his limitations, his lack of confidence. He relied on human reasoning in the face of divine command. But heaven does not wait for you to feel ready. Heaven waits for your yes. A clear, complete, undeniable yes to what God is asking. Even if you feel nervous, even if your voice shakes, your feelings do not determine your readiness. Your obedience does. And up until now, you have been saying yes in pieces. Small, scattered moments across your journey. Quiet prayers spoken in private. Moments where it felt like no one was listening. But what you could not see was that heaven was collecting every one of those yeses. Every quiet agreement. Every small act of surrender. They were being gathered together, formed into one complete moment. The moment that sealed your breakthrough. And that moment is already behind you. You have already moved past it without even realizing it, like stepping over an unseen finish line. The decision has been declared. The previous chapter has come to an end. What you are entering now is not a test. It is not preparation. It is not the wilderness. What lies ahead is the promise, the inheritance, the season where things begin to produce and appear. The wilderness fulfilled its role. The preparation phase has been completed. This is the crossing point, the beginning of taking possession. And now comes a part most people avoid because it demands deep honesty with yourself, a level of truth that strips away layers of self-protection. It is a moment many people quietly turn away from because it feels too direct, too uncomfortable to fully face. It challenges the stories we have built around our struggles. The reality is this. What has been holding back the full expression of what God promised is not the enemy's attacks, even though they were real. It is not the betrayals you went through, even though the pain was undeniable. It is not the closed doors, the people who walked away, or the long seasons that stretched beyond what you expected. All of those things were real. They were difficult. They shaped you and refined you, perhaps even brought you to your lowest point. But they were not the barrier. The real barrier has been this. You have been trusting God for the promise while at the same time believing that you are the exception. This is a subtle and deeply rooted lie that has kept you stuck. You believe God works in people's lives. You believe the testimonies you hear, the stories of healing, provision, and breakthrough. You believe what Scripture says about His power and truth. You believe that miracles happen, that favor is real, that God moves in ways beyond human understanding. You believe all of that for others, for the faithful, the chosen, the ones you see as set apart. But deep within, beneath your outward faith, there's been a quiet agreement, a hidden belief that people like you do not receive the full version. That something about your story, your past, your mistakes, your struggles, your disappointments, makes you different. Like you are the exception, the fine print, the almost but not quite, the one for whom the promise does not fully apply. And that belief has acted like a ceiling, an invisible limit above you, allowing blessings to come close but never fully settle. Not because God agreed with that belief. He never did. But because you kept agreeing with it. Every time something did not happen when you expected it to, every time a prayer seemed unanswered, every time you saw someone else receive what you were waiting for, you took it as proof of that lie, instead of seeing it as a test of your position, a moment to remain steady even when things felt delayed or uncertain. Think again about Elijah after Mount Carmel. He had just witnessed fire come down from heaven. He had seen undeniable proof of God's power. He had stood against hundreds of false prophets and watched them fall. He had spoken of rain and then saw it come. He had experienced one of the greatest demonstrations of divine power. And then one person, Jezebel, sent a threat, and he ran. He fled in fear, collapsed under a tree, overwhelmed, and said, "This is enough. I am the only one left." In that moment, even after everything he had seen, he believed a lie of isolation. He too felt like the exception, alone, targeted, and exhausted. And God did not rebuke him. God did not criticize his fear. Instead, God provided for him. He gave him food. He allowed him to rest. He restored him. And then, once he was strengthened, God said, "The journey ahead is too much for you. Get up and eat again." Meaning the next phase required a version of Elijah that was stronger than the one who had been worn down by fear. The path ahead is too great for the version of you that has been operating in fear, isolation, and the belief that you are the exception. You cannot step into what is coming while carrying doubt about your worth. But you are not being asked to do this in your own strength. You are being invited to receive, to allow yourself to be filled, restored, strengthened before moving forward. This is not about striving harder. It is about being renewed, because what is about to enter your life requires a version of you that is filled, steady, and grounded, a version of you that has been restored internally, that has let go of the lies that weakened your identity, that has stopped running from who you are and has started accepting the fullness of God's love. And this process of receiving begins right now. It begins in this moment, where you stop seeing yourself as the exception, where you break that hidden agreement that has been limiting you, and where you accept, fully and without hesitation, that every promise, every word, every declaration God has spoken, it was meant for you, not around you, not near you, but directly, personally, and intentionally for you. You are the one this was meant for. This is the ruling. This is a decision that has already been spoken over your life in the courts of heaven, sealed with divine authority and unchangeable truth. And now you are hearing it here on earth, so that what has been established above can be released below, so that what exists in the spiritual realm can finally appear in your physical reality. This is a shattering of every limitation. This is a release of abundance. The attack against you has been canceled. Every plan formed to block you, to take from you, to destroy what belongs to you is now invalid. The delay has ended. Its time has finished. The waiting season is over. The silence has been broken, and a new sound is rising, a sound of breakthrough and restoration. And what is coming toward you right now carries your name. Not meant for someone else, not intended for another. It has been prepared specifically for you, not for some future version of you, not for a perfected version that does not yet exist, but for who you are right now in this very moment. You are prepared. You are deserving. Now place your hand over your heart and declare this out loud, because declarations are not just emotional words. They are spiritual markers. They position you in alignment. They send a clear signal into the unseen realm, declaring exactly where you stand and what you agree with. And what you are about to say is not a wish. It is not a request for something missing. It is a statement of what has already been decided. Say this now. I am not the exception. I am the one this message was meant for. Every prayer I have spoken in private has been gathered, and nothing has been lost. The silence I experienced was not abandonment, it was preparation. The restraint I practiced was not weakness, it was a final step that secured my breakthrough. I released every belief that told me I was too late, too imperfect, or too far behind. I let go of every limitation I created through disappointment. I step into this new season completely, without apology, without holding back, without waiting for permission that has already been granted. The door is open, and I walk through it now. What God has spoken over my life cannot be undone, cannot be taken, and cannot be delayed any longer. I receive it fully. I am ready, and I am enough. If this message has touched something inside you, if you felt even the slightest shift while reading or listening, even if you cannot fully explain it yet, do not ignore it or let it fade into the distractions of your day. That feeling matters. It is a signal. It is confirmation. Share this with someone else who is also standing between what used to be and what has been promised, because they were meant to encounter it too. And leave something in the comments, not for visibility, but as a declaration. Let it be known that you have received this. Let it be known that you recognize the truth. That act of acknowledgement is part of breaking the limitation. Do not overlook it.